honor that you're doing this with us. Okay, let's go live so we don't get too distracted. Hello, everybody. Good evening to you, morning, afternoon, depending on where and where you're watching this live. Dr. Labinton here. I help people live long and well because I believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. I'm really excited. I know I say this a lot. I'm really excited. My guest, I'm a fan of hers. I respect her. She's someone like she's cool people. So I'm really excited to have her on today. I have none other than Dr. Ayo Adenuga as our guest, and we'll be talking about smart parenting tips for immigrants. Doc, how are you? And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm honored to be here. You've done a lot of fantastic work, either at your clinic or even engaging people and just making sure that they have the right information to thrive and to be better persons. So thank you for all you do. I really appreciate and honor you here. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Now, for those of you who are watching hashtag live, if you're watching replay, hashtag replay, please comment where you're watching from so I can give you a shout out depending on where you are. And if you know someone who used this conversation, please, the whole point of having this conversation is for us to do better as parents. It's not a judgment zone. It's just for us to equip ourselves so we could do better where we're at. Yeah. Now, if you do not know Dr. Adenuga, I'll give her time to introduce herself, but she has a lot of degrees to back her. She's MD, MB, PhD, MBA, all the letters. Mm-hmm. She's a public health physician. She's a communication and capacity expert. She's the visionary founder of IEA Impact Consulting, and she's a Maxwell Leadership Independent Executive Director. She's a certified coach. She's a certified speaker, and she's a certified trainer. I don't know how she has time for wifey and mommy, all the other things she does, but she is phenomenal. She's a person of faith. She's a wife. She's a mother of 3 teenagers. So I'm talking to an expert, all right? Not only in the science field and the medical field, but also in the home front. Dr. Adenuga, please introduce yourself to our guests, who you are, and why you do the things that you do, Doc.
Thank you so much. So hello, everybody again. It's really nice to be here conversing with you, and I'm happy that you're joining us, either those join us live or those that will join us later. I'm a person of faith. I'm a wife and mom of 3 teenagers, and this is a very good phase of my life. I'm a clinician. I'm a John Maxwell trained speaker and coach. Currently, in my current position, I work with the Mount Sinai Health System as a project manager, improving lives of people and creating access. Right now for ACE Parenting, which is one of the initiatives I engage with, is really to empower parents and their teenagers to be able to successfully navigate the challenges of the teenage years. You know how it is, but end up at the other side, without any burnout, but doing it successfully. So thank you. I'm really, really happy to really converse with you.
You were doing a program before for teenagers.
Yes.
You did not mention that one. That's ACE Parenting.
Yes, that's right. ACE Parenting.
Yes. Okay, awesome. So why, with all the things you had to do, why did you go into ACE Parenting? Why?
Okay, so ACE Parenting was born out of the fact that, like myself, I'm a growing parent. Parenting is a progress, as a phase, never ends. It's a lifelong thing.
True.
But being an immigrant mom, so I've always been passionate about training teenagers and youths. But being an immigrant mom, I'm coming from a space of the way things are to the current phase. I noticed a lot of struggles, either with parents or even with teenagers. My teenage boys and girls, they struggled a lot when we immigrated. And I found it difficult to balance between my culture, where I'm coming from, and what they are doing now. I myself was struggling with being, with fitting into the system. But with that, with open communication, with listening to them, with helping them, I was like, oh, this is something that I need to help other parents that are struggling to do, so I don't fall into the same pitfall that I have before. How do you successfully navigate the challenges of teenage years, either as a parent or even as a teenager, and just fulfill your life potential and be happy. And so that's why I do what I do, being able to help people just thrive and improve the lives of people across board. And that fits into my calling really. As a medical doctor, I do that, but now it's parenting and teens.
I love it. And the way you said you're enjoying the season of your life. So for those who are watching, having teenagers does not mean that you're, it seems like dread. There's a dread. There's a but I want, for those who are watching, it is possible to still enjoy that parent-child relationship, parent-teen relationship, and that's why we're having this conversation.
Yes.
All right, so Doc, let's talk some of the unique challenges, because we're talking about parenting tips for immigrants, and it applies to everyone, by the way. But what are some unique challenges immigrant parents may face?
Yeah, thank you. So first off, I want to say parenting is in itself is leadership. Parenting in itself is work. Parenting in itself is being intentional, right? So across board, wherever you are, from whatever culture, is the same parenting. But immigrant parents face another sort of challenges. Why is one, they are moving into another environment. Secondly, there are some things that work in different environments, and we have to know. Back from Nigeria, where I come from, a child is raised up by a community. A child goes to school, and the teacher, I remember when I wasn't passing my maths properly, my teacher called my mom, and it was my birthday. And she was like, "Oh, Ayo is not passing a maths," because I didn't really like maths so much. I wasn't putting in the work. I was like, "What?" And it was my birthday. She just gave me one backhand. I carried everything back. Now, and she was like, "Please help me look after this." So the teacher took me in and started tutoring me. And of course, I passed. But you can't do that here, right? The teachers try to stay in their lane. The parents have to leave that backhand where it is, because it's not totally accepted. So number one, culture, knowing what to take along and knowing what to leave and what will not work is so important. Another challenge people are facing is in themselves. They are learning how to fit in as parents. They're having their own anxiety, their own stress, their own uncertainty, their own self-worth, dealing with how to grow in a new environment. Now, apart from that, the teenager himself or even the child is growing, and they're coming up with new ideas, coming up with new things. Teenagers are growing to another phase, right? Even if it's a child that is 2 years old that is going to 3, we'll say that's terrible 2s, terrible 3s, but I'll say terrific. We have teenage years. I say, oh my God, this is a challenging period. No, it's a period of opportunity, right? Opportunity to teach, opportunity to empower, opportunity to change. Yes, you have to put your foot down, but that is one of the things I have to do. The third thing is finances. Many immigrant parents that were able to travel were middle-class people. They had work, they had their own accolades, where they're coming from, and someone like me, and they have to drop everything and start all over. They have to start either as medical assistants for doctors, some they have to start as nurses, some they have to start as caregivers, some they have to start as just Uber drivers. And where they are coming from, they are like, top notch.
Right.
So all that combined is a lot of challenges. And then the way we listen is different. The way we parent is different. And being able to switch is actually very difficult for many parents. So those are the major challenges that you see parents of immigrant background are facing. And it's really a lot. And mental health issues is also a huge challenge. I'll tell you a story. I went to Shepherd, which is an adolescent facility for mental health children. And believe you me, I spoke with one of the nurses, and we had so many immigrant children in that facility. Sometimes the children have found newfound freedom, and they are pushing away from what is the norm. And in pushing away and battling with their own personal issues and with school issues, many of them cannot cope,
Hmm.
and they end up in mental health facilities. Another thing that also is very, very important challenge is the feeling of guilt for many parents. They have this feeling of guilt and then they overcompensate. Feeling of guilt, I smacked my child, I wasn't there enough, I did this, and then they overcompensate either by being more strict or by being lax. And they just allow things to happen and things go haywire. So these are very important things that are happening. And I would want to say, take it one by one. For many parents, having a child that is growing in a new environment, you have to let go of so many idols. I'll call them idols because it's something that is happening and we start on, and these are values. You have to determine what values are important to you in your family, right? Many times, some other things that we hold on to is control. We have to have control over our children. Once we lose control, we feel that things have gone haywire. My child is not listening to me, the child is disrespectful and everything, because we want to control everything. The second thing is comfort. You can't come and kill me. I don't care. I don't want to just overshout, I don't want to do this, and then we let things go. I have a friend, not a friend, actually, this is there to me, a family friend, whose son was always going out. And the mother was like, you can't come and kill me. And she left him. He ended up taking drugs. He ended up being in a mental facility. They took him back to Nigeria. Unfortunately, because he hooked up with some people back in Nigeria, to get those drugs, and it became worse. Wow. By the time he came back, it was just a no going back. It became almost like a growing vegetable, a handsome, tall boy that became a man that couldn't do anything. So we can't be too permissive. The other thing is respect. We value respect, which is good. Children should respect their parents. They should respect other people. And it's not just their parents, you're teaching a value of respect. But there are some other things that we really, really put on. If the child is talking in a way or asking questions, we're like, come, do what I want to do what I say, and then no explanation. And with that, what happens? The child feels, I'm not being heard, I'm not being loved. So, but you are free to listen to the child. You are free to openly hear out the child, but you don't have to necessarily agree with everything the child is saying. And you don't necessarily have to give in, because at the end of the day, you have to have a line between what is safe for the child and what is okay.
Doc, hold on. You said a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You said a lot. Very powerful comments. You said we have to determine what our value system is as a family. The culture, parts of our culture that we'll throw away, and the parts that we're going to keep. You talked about the importance of letting go of idols, things that don't actually serve us here in this space. We talked about being good listeners. It doesn't mean we're weaker, because our objective is to raise children who respect people, who respect their parents, who respect elders, and who grow up to be responsible citizens.
Yep.
So, man, we got to let go of control. Man, okay, yeah, I'm taking notes as well. But I have a parent here who's watching who says, well, I don't want my child to become a bratty person. I don't want them to be spoiled and unruly. And even though I would let go of control, but how do we preserve our heritage? Right? You come here, you don't want to lose yourself. So that parent who's watching, who's like, what are you saying? So what do you want us to do? What are practical tips for that parent who's saying, well, I don't want to lose our cultural respect, you don't look people in the eye when you talk, is rude. or you don't put your hand out to shake someone, or you don't use your left hand. Those are our culture. What do you say to that parent, Doc?
So, first, I'll tell all parents that respect is a value. It's not even quote unquote a culture. A person should respect one's self, should respect other people, should respect other people's culture, other people's choices, other people's religion, other people's preferences. So the myth we had before is, oh, my child should respect me. Your child should respect everyone, including you, right? But also when your child is rude at a particular time, how do you respond? Because that now determines if it's going to escalate or it's going to be better. Do you become a thermometer, which is where your child is shouting? You're also shouting. I've been at fault there before. When your child is moody, you become moody. When your child is throwing tantrums, you follow suit. So that's a thermometer. You are reflecting what your child is doing. Or are you a thermostat? That means you set the tone in your home. It is learned and it can be done. Whereby when the child is upset or is rude, you can say, what you just said, you might not mean it, but it sounded rude to me. I feel disrespected. Now, don't call the child names. You're a rude child. You're a bad child. You're a disrespectful child. No. Your action. So address the issue and not the person. Don't reflect that attitude on that person, but you need to also put your foot down. Let them know that what you've just said is rude. The action you've just taken is disrespectful. I feel highly disrespected, right? What I expect you to have done or said is A, B, C, and D. The child at that time might listen or might not. But you feeding into that makes it worse. And that's what we do. Come back here, I'm talking to you. And they want at that point in time to control that child's emotion, forgetting that the child is still growing to deal with whatever is going on in that child's body or that child's environment. Is it possible that when the child was in school, some people have bullied the child, or the child was laughed out, the child was disrespected, and is just coming home where, quote unquote, he or she can be themselves? So at that time, you correct it. You can express yourself. I see you've had a hard day, but still you don't disrespect me. Then later on, you now go and ask that, okay, what actually was happening? What happened in school? And listen. You listen to the child and hear the child out. Now, for other parents, there are some times when you ask the child to do something and the child refuses and says no. Now, it's not every time you react. But when a child says no, you have to let the child know that you are making a choice and there are consequences, in a calm, respectful way to say, hey, I asked you to do this, you refuse to do it. This is the second time I'm telling you. I feel it's disrespectful. You have a choice. You do it or you lose this privilege. Right. So gone are the days where we have to bring out the cane and beat.
Yeah.
Gone are the days whereby we overshout. And those are the things that we have to put down. Now is a tone of calmness. You are cool. You are firm in what you are saying. Sometimes we lose it. Sometimes we shout.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Don't beat yourself. Don't beat yourself when you lose it. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel that, oh my God. No. Because we are all parenting. Don't forget, we are all humans, first of all. We are all humans and we are all learning every day to do with our environment. Sometimes as parents, we've had a tough day at work and we come home and a child is just giving us sass. You're like, what is this? Do you understand? And sometimes we lose it, but it's being self-aware and training ourselves to say, yes, okay, yesterday things didn't go out so well, but today is going to be better. And then when you see that you've really, really done something that you shouldn't have done.
Doc, I have a question. I'm raising my hand. I have a question.
Please.
Hold up. You talked about listening, showing respect. Let's talk about feedback.
Mm.
One of the things I've had to learn, even with my kids, is, I had one of them ask me, like, you say we should respect you, but we children also like to be respected. The African in me pulled back and said, okay, I'm gonna respect that comment. But for the parent who is listening, who feels like, I feel like I'm losing, my authority in my home when I'm having to maybe apologize to my child, or there's a card game we have in the house, family talk,
Mm.
and there are conversations that stared. And one of the conversation piece was, what are ways that your parents disrespect you that you wish they would change? I didn't know it was in there, but we had that conversation, and they gave me that feedback. It was humbling.
Mm.
But I discerned that I needed to listen, because we don't want to create children or raise children who will only do what we want to do, say, in the house, and become something else outside. So,
Mm.
so for that parent who's watching, who is like, but I feel they disrespect me. It's hard for me to take feedback because I didn't grow up being able to give feedback. Heck, I didn't even hear my parents say they love me. I was never hugged.
Mm.
If my mom said this was blue, even if it was clearly white, I couldn't speak.
Mm.
It's hard for me to adjust. I feel somehow. How do you encourage these moms and dads who are watching and who understand that they're not relating well with their kids? They want to do something, but it feels somehow inside the body. No.
Now, parents, sincerely, it's hard, but we are not our parents. We are not our parents. My mom was hard on me. This is how my mom trained me. This is how my dad trained me. This is how I grew up, so I have to be the same way. No. Even if you remember, the way people acted before COVID is different from the way we act now. And
Hmm.
even the way our parents now deal with us is even different from the way they were dealing with us before. Things are changing every day, dynamics are changing. But I hear you, a lot of parents feel that they have lost control even in their own home. I'll give you a personal story, which is a true story to me, and I'm not afraid to share it. Um, there was a day when a period when my daughter was like, okay, this phone, I'm going to seize it, I'm not going to give it to you, blah, 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 and a whole tantrum. But guess what? At a point, because the schools teach them to say, hey, if you're not feeling safe at home, just call socials and everything. And to I'm going to call this. I was like, nobody's going to keep you in the house against your will. So if you want to call, that's fine. And I picked up the phone and called. This is my daughter. She's asking for help. Come. And they came.
Hmm.
But they asked her different questions and she answered. But where am I going to is that we can't live in fear
Hmm.
as parents. Once you are not maltreating your child, once you are not treating your child negatively, you can't. But one thing is sure, in your home, you are the parents and you are not your child's friend. You are there to parent your child. God has given you your children to parent them and to be their guardian for that 21, 24 years that they have. One of the things that also is that we parents, we have assumed our children as our identity. When our children are not doing well, we feel, oh God, I'm not doing well. And we are afraid or use that to lash out. Now, you have to take your power as parents back. Now, how do you do that? Number one, being self-aware. What I'm doing, is it based on my ego or is what actually benefits my child?
Hmm. Let's see.
Is it because of my culture? If they hear, what would they say? If somebody comes into my home and the home is untidy, what would they say? Rather than I need my home to be tidy, to be healthy, right? And you make sure that that is the reason behind it. I need my child to be respectful because that is a value we hold strong in the home. I need my child to be loving because that's what we hold strong in the home. Now, there are some things that you might leave For instance, be making of nails here. By the time the child is 15, 16, in schools, they are putting on nails. In Nigeria, you have to be in university before they do it.
You're allowed to be ugly to be considered a good student. Like your hairstyles with looking like a rhinoceros.
So sometimes you be like, okay, where are my battles? Do you understand? Is this child doing well in school? Is this child respectful? Is she honoring and everything? But she wants to make this hairstyle that normally in Nigeria, you won't even look at it twice.
Oh.
So are you going to hammer on that particular thing, or you fight your battles to say, is this a value-based decision or just an appearance-based decision? I remember when my son wanted to wear Crocs to school. I was like, what? We are used to wearing our Bata shoes, wearing our sneakers, wearing our shoes.
Proper shoes, yes.
Why would you wear Crocs to school? It's not done, you know? And then sometimes I now went to their school and I now saw that even their teachers are wearing Crocs to school. So I'm like, what am I fighting about?
Oh my gosh.
So parents, we have to be able to separate sincerely what are the flexible rules and what are the hard rules that you can't, is non-negotiable. Making sure the house is clean, non-negotiable. Respect, truthfulness, integrity, non-negotiable. But things like choices of some kind of clothes, maybe you make it to be flexible. So you'll be able to gain your power in the things that matters the most. Because as immigrant parents, sometimes we are not sure. What should I fight against? What should I hold strong? Some people be like, okay, I want a highlight in my hair. And you're like, okay, why would you do that at this particular age? But your family values matters first before what is happening outside. Just like phones, like now, many people from 8 years old, their children have phones and it's everywhere. What is your own family value? Is it until the child is 13? And I'll say, well, the law says you have to be 13 before you get a phone. And you wait till you're 13.
Now I want to wait till you're 22.
Which is true. Because now the phone is costing so much.
It's
but
true.
The truth of the matter is that, and I want to say, many children are also empowered by the system, and you have to be careful and know where to draw the line. I went for a mental health seminar, and one of the things they're offering is homes for people that, quote unquote, their parents say they can't stay. So if you say, hey, you're misbehaving, get out of my house, the government will take them in this US. They're being funded to take them. So you have to be careful. Where do you want a child to be? Under the protection of your home or to be outside? By 16, a child can work and earn. My son was working by 16, minimal job, but he saved enough that by 17, he was able to buy his first car. In Nigeria, where I come from, I was in the university before I got my first car. Again, of someone close to me, actually my sister, while she was in the university, she had issues with my parents, and they're like, I'm not going to pay your school fees again. They were here, my parents were in Nigeria. And she was like, okay. And she took student loan and she went forward. Later on, they've met back. But what am I saying? The power we had to say, hey, I'm not going to pay your school fees in Nigeria, that made us so much in control and made the children to be submissive, we might not necessarily have that here. So parents, I want to advise 2-3 things. Number one, what are your true values? What do you cherish more, the relationship or the control? Right? The truth or the lie? What do you also look out for in building your child? Empowering your child to be able to be resilient. Many of them have emotional bank that is deficits. Either because, number one, they're immigrant children in the first place, they are trying to fit in. Secondly, they are trying to already, there might be, if I can use the word discrimination or racism or whatever. Because I remember when my daughter first came in, they were calling her African booty scratcher.
Yep.
and all those kind of things. And they are battling with that, and they'll come home and display different things. So they are already going through a lot. And as parents, we have to be their emotional bank to be able to listen to them and hear them out. Okay, what are you saying? Let me hear you. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree to everything, but you hear them, you listen to them, and you firmly tell them what holds true in your house. And the things that you feel that, okay, I can let go, let's go.
Wow. Really, 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 really powerful. Really powerful. You said, is it our ego or the benefit of the child? We got to let it go. We've got to let it go. And the truth is, I heard someone say this and I want to share it here too. Don't act like you can relate to what they're going through because they live in a very different world. But instead, ask them how you can help them navigate their world. But I have one more question for you, Doc. For the mom who's like, this is good, but it sounds like more pressure for me. To the dad, he's like, between work and all the things I have to handle, this sounds like more work for me to do. Um, my kids should know I love them. I work really hard for them. I go to work. That's the reason why I go to work and I come home. Um, any words of encouragement to that stressed out mom, stressed out dad who's watching and who feels like this is like a reminder they're not doing a good job as a parent, but they still want to make things work.
Yeah, that's very true. For all parents out there, number one, we are human. We are human, and self-awareness is key. So you have to have compassion on yourself, right? You have to have compassion on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. And your children are not your identity, right? The outcome of a child is really dependent on the environment, dependent on God, and just put it in God's hands. Don't feel, oh, my child is bad, so I'm a bad parent, and your child is not bad anyway. You may just be exhibiting different behaviors at a particular time. It's just a phase of life. But be self-aware, take care of yourself because you cannot pour from an empty cup. That's what happens. We are so drained of emotional energy. We are drained of psychological energy. We are drained of so many things that when we don't have any more to give, we ourselves flare out. We are burnt out and react so that we can't even gather that scattered feathers anymore. Also seek out community of helpers. Who are the people in your community that can help out? When your child is not listening, who will the child listen to that can help? So don't feel guilty. Take care of yourself. Put your child in God's hands and be prayerful with them. Another thing is that for every 3 positive contacts you have with your child, have 1. Many of us parents have 4 negative contacts and 1 positive. And so the child doesn't feel unloved. In the morning, get up, pray with your children, hold hands. In the afternoon, I do that sometimes. I check on my children. Hey, how are you doing? I love you. Say it. Let them know they are loved. Right? In the evening, when they come back, how's your day? Initiate a conversation and pay attention to them at that time. In the evening, when they're about to go sleep, if you are the type that pray together, you can. If you eat together, you can. When you're about to go to sleep, go back and say, have a good night. God bless you. That way you've had different points where you have checked up with your child and deposited positive emotions in them.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, hey, you've not done this, hey, correcting them, you've not swept your room, you've not cleaned the house, whatever you want to tell them to do, your homework is still lagging, they know it's still out of love. But teenagers will be teenagers. Anything they do, don't take it personally. That is my ultimate advice. Don't take it personally.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And the whole I love you, practice it. I'm going to share a tip. It was a sister friend that shared this with me. When my children come in the room, I sing, oh, see who the Lord has brought. I said, I didn't know you would honor me this way by blessing me with and and then I'll do drama with it and I'll speak over their lives as they walk. It's intentionality. Someone taught me this late last year, so I don't want to act like I'm a pro at this. So we're all a work in progress.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do this right. We're gonna raise the next kingdom. kids, the next generation of respectful, doing very well children who we will still have good relationships with. Not that they'll be far away, not wanting to do anything with us. Sis, give me a high five, man. This was give me a 10, my 10, my 10. Was this helpful? Was this helpful? Please drop in the comment. Was this helpful? Because I'm trying to get Dr. Ayo to come back again for part 2 because I did not finish half of my questions. We only scratched the surface for the first few. So, Doc, thank you so much for doing this. This was powerful. We're going to do this again. I'm hoping in maybe the first quarter of next year. So we start the year great. But for those who are watching, who are like, I like this doctor, I want to watch her content, I want to get information from her. If she has them, Doc, where can people find you?
Yeah, so the first place you can find me is on LinkedIn. That's Ayo Adenuga. I'm everywhere there. The second place is on Facebook, on Instagram. That's ACE Parenting, ACE Parenting, PARENTEEN. So that's parenting, ACE Parenting. So you could find me on those platforms, and I have a lot of resources on my YouTube channel, which is also Dr. Ayo Adenuga. On YouTube, you'll find a lot of parenting resources there that you can listen to, from communication to engagement to even self-care to how you could help your child even to understand themselves and even reason why they are teenagers and why they do the things they do. So a lot of resources out there that you could benefit from, and you could DM me on LinkedIn. I'm able to respond to you and provide the resources you need and the support you need. So thank you.
I love you, sis. Oh my God, this is so good. I took notes. This was so good. Thank you so much. Absolutely. And thank you to our many guests that joined. Otawa, good to see you. Isabella, good to see you. Maridoti, good to see you. Nora, I'm glad you could join. Dr. Funke, glad to see you. Love Mafu, I'm not sure who you are, but thank you for watching. Shout outs to all of you. Please share this with your family, your friends. These are conversations that need to happen. I believe in churches and communities, in schools, in parent gatherings on how, we can foster relationships with our children. That being said, and by the way, I put her information at the bottom of the screen, and you should be able to see it in the comment section, depending on where you're watching it from. Oh, lovely, lovely. Good to see you. All right, we're going to have her come back. She already agreed live to do it. So be sure to follow us so you can catch the episode. And as always, if you or anyone you know is looking for an awesome, a thorough and compassionate family physician who will have conversations like this to help you and your family live long and well, I am she. Doc, I'm honored. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you too. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.